Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla, and today we have a very, very special guest, Corey Lockhart. Corey is the founder and president of WML Enterprises, LLC. Welcome to the show, Corey. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So as I mentioned before we hit the record button, are you originally from around the DMV area, or where are you from?
I am. I'm the fifth or sixth generation from the area.
So growing up in Loudon, where were you like as a child? What were you into? Do you remember?
Being outside, played, baseball and, basically just a lot of time spent outside.
Okay. And you did high school there as well?
Yeah, I went to Broadrun High School.
Okay.
And
then after high school there, what happened afterwards?
I tried my hand at college and it wasn't for me at the time. So I went back into the workforce and was working for my dad's landscaping company in the area. And then I left for active duty military for 6 years.
Okay, I see. So your family was in business. You said your father had a landscape company?
Yeah, my mom worked for Fairfax County government for 40 years.
Okay. And you were helping your dad with running the company or just doing regular tasks?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I was starting at the bottom and, worked my way up. He taught me the office stuff. I did a lot of crew leading and project management things. It was very much a learning process.
Okay. How long did you do that for before you went off to the military?
Well, I didn't go on spring breaks. So about the time I was 14, I started working for him. And then I was 22 when I left for the military.
Okay, I see. What made you decide to join the military at 22?
Get out, get away, go do something bigger than myself.
Did anyone in the family, I don't know if you had relatives or anyone else that also served?
Grandfather, some cousins, I think an uncle.
Okay, so there was a good amount of people that served, so I'm sure that was an influence as well, right?
No.
I
just wanted, I was in high school and the towers came down and I saw it on TV. So I wanted to do my part, I suppose. And just,
sure.
I had a really good, overall a good experience in the military. There was a lot of not great parts, but it was a really, really life-altering experience.
By life-altering, as you mentioned, with anything, there's the good and the bad. Can you remember as far as some pivotal moments there that impact you throughout life?
Yeah, we did a lot of positive things in Afghanistan for the people. And, I was in Korea, I got to travel around Korea. It's really, really cool to be a part of all the other cultures that I got to be a part of and experience, and the food and the drinks and the camaraderie. That was the best part about the military.
Okay. You felt like the family, a team then. Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of good things.
That's great. Can you share what were you doing as far as when you were in the military there?
Yeah, I was security forces, so I did a lot of security stuff. And then I became a weapons and tactics instructor. And then in Afghanistan, I was in charge of the FAST company. So we did personal security detail, medevac missions, targets, prisoner transports. If it had to move via air around Afghanistan, my team was on the bird to protect the crew.
Okay. So you served for 6 years, and then afterwards you decided, okay, I did my time, or what was your train of thought there?
I wanted to make money. I was pushing 30. I got out at 29, man. I was like, man, I'm not doing this the rest of the time. I want the freedom. I want my freedom back. So got out, moved back to the Nova area, and went back to work for my dad, this time learning different things. And from that, I did rather on purpose I went from that job to a pure salesperson's job within the industry, so that I could cut my teeth in sales, because anybody that actually knows sales knows that it is an art and a science behind it, and it's mostly based on relationships and how you speak to other people, how you listen to them. So sales drives business. There is no business that I was able to work for a company doing pure sales, business to business sales, which is incredibly difficult. I mean, when I was in the landscaping world, B2C sales, that's easy. You do 5 rounds, 9 rounds, you knock on doors. Hey, your neighbor said you liked us. That stuff, that's not as challenging as business to business sales can be. So I got a huge education in that for the year that I worked there. And then the year after, I went to work for a local high-end landscaping company running one of their divisions. And from there, I started my own company, and that's where I've been ever since.
Corey, when you started off with the sales part, it was always still in the landscaping sector, right?
No, I was actually selling chemicals, fertilizer, grass seed, chemicals, that sort of thing. So it was on the science side of the industry.
Okay, so you were selling to landscapers, to other landscape companies?
Yep.
Okay, I understand. So the role totally changed from, like you said, business to consumer, knocking on people's doors if they want it landscape done, to actually now knocking on other landscape companies to see if you can sell product to them.
Yeah, and most people have no idea the contracting world as a whole, not just industry specific as a whole, prior to COVID was still stuck in the 90s. And there's still a lot of stubborn favoritism. The B2B stuff in the trades can be very, very difficult to crack through, to break through. So it's really important to build a rapport, make relationships with other businesses. One of the reasons why I'm fairly successful with my business now is because I have 3 generations of connection. Something as simple as where to take my truck if a leaf spring breaks. That's a hyper drill down example. I have those connections because I learned them from my father, who learned them from his father. And some of these businesses that I work with are still around. So that's why I value relationships and very, very much within our business community. And that's why it was so important for me to spend that time doing B2B sales, so I could see it from their side.
Okay. So you were with this company, a chemical company, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, for a year. And then afterwards, where did you go after that?
A high-end landscaping company in the area that does, now they're referred to as like outdoor living areas. Okay. So think about if you want a pool, an outdoor patio, an outdoor kitchen, things like that. We're talking 6 and 7 figure projects. So that was a good experience. I got to learn a lot through that as well. Managed 5 or 6 crews, and managed my budget, my division, and that sort of thing. So I feel like it's so funny. Once I decided to become a real entrepreneur and start a business from nothing, I realized that I've been practicing for this my whole life. You start stacking those educational experiences, both book and life, and I really feel that makes a difference in success or failure. And I've had failed businesses in the past. I had a events planning company that went nowhere, and I had a small motorcycle shop that was only open about a year that I closed down. So I love failure because it's learning material. And I still screw things up all the time, but learning from those mistakes or those errors have really, really benefited.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Corey, and touching those subjects, because many times you only hear the successes. The failures, they don't get talked about very much, and it happens.
Absolutely.
That's part of entrepreneurship, or even sales. If you're just in a sales role, there's failure that's without failure, there's no success, the way I see things. Those two, the event planning and the motorcycle shop, this happened pre going to B2B sales, or where was this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was long time ago.
Okay. And I'm curious, out of those two events, what are some key takeaways that you think you learned that you can input in your business as far as what to do or what not to do?
Everything takes work. And if you're not willing to put the work in, nobody else is going to do it for you. And two, you really have to like what you're doing. There is no substitute for hard work. And the only way you grind it out when it's 9 o'clock at night and I still have my laptop open, you have to want it. So there's a lot of people, Instagram, social media is bad on it. People run around and claim to be business coaches or entrepreneurs or whatever. And you can smell, you can taste the difference. You can hear the difference of a person that has been through some hard failures versus someone that's running around with a hashtag in their bio. And my previous business, the events company, I have no idea what my mentality was, but I thought I was an entrepreneur. I was like, oh, I'm going to do something here. I'm a business owner. And it was me. I failed myself. I didn't put the work in. So I definitely, those takeaways from that were huge for me. It still are huge for me these days.
Sure. So in those instances, Corey, you were sort of more, I guess, laid back, did your whatever. You wanted to work 8 to 5, 11 to 2, whatever it is. I'm an entrepreneur, I make my own hours, but it wasn't like you said now at 9 o'clock, sometimes you still have your laptop on and you're still working.
Yeah. Now it's, I want to do it. I need to do it. If it has to get done. I will say this. I watched my dad run his company, he and his partner. I've watched him run the company for 30 years almost. Late hours, constantly waiting on crews to return, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. I've been one of the first adapters of technology. So if I can sit on my couch and schedule the next day from my phone, why in the world would I be sitting in my office? So I think something that my generation has taken smartly is that you can be successful, but the work-life balance is so crucial to our mental well-being. You can be more successful with a work-life balance that works for you and be you everything else in your life and burn yourself out. It's a business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I don't have it figured out at all, but I can promise you the sprinters are dying out. They're not making it a year. They're not making it 3 years. They're definitely not making it 10 years. And they're also not clearing 7 figures. Anybody can go out and start a company and make 30, 40, 50 grand a year. I'm not interested in doing that. I can make more than that working for somebody else. So it's super, super important. I think to realize that it's a marathon, to take those failures and help them grow, build yourself, as opposed to just hashtag entrepreneur, woo, living my best life. Everything's going to be awesome.
I'm glad you're embracing technology, because I find in a lot of industries, not even, let's call it landscaping or construction, whatever it may be, they're some of them are very antiquated. They're just invoicing paper, give it to the secretary by hand. It's like, yes.
I was, so obviously the coronavirus has impacted a lot of people. That doesn't mean there have not been good things to come out of it. So out of the tragedy, you just like every other failure in life, out of tragedy, you got to learn something. You got to pull some positives out. One of the positives, the virus forced the antiquated construction industry to finally get with the program for most people. And the ones that haven't will eventually be gone, and good riddance. I had a company the other day that I was trying to set up a new account with so I could use their services. They asked me to fax my info in, and then for other business references, they wanted 3 other fax numbers. And I told them the truth. I said, nobody uses fax numbers anymore. Nobody. I said, I can email it to you, no problem, but I don't use a fax number. Needless to say, I don't have an account there. We don't do business with them. It's just so insane to me. Something as simple as you need a product delivered to your site. Well, I'm not on site. Maybe the project manager is. Maybe it's my employees. Maybe it's not my employees and somebody else. The delivery driver has to take that ticket, give it to whoever's on, and then I have to get those tickets collected and give them to the office. So the office can then sit there and input them into a spreadsheet. What a ridiculous mess, waste of time, money, and energy. Now, most places have gone, most have gone to that new thing. Everybody heard of it? Email? Now they email your tickets and everything's there. You can immediately import the data. So that is one of the major things that I saw help. It was a foot in the ass for the construction industry. Hey, get your stuff together, embrace technology, because the world is not waiting for you. And that's what we do now. I mean, I can literally, I run my business mobily most of the time between my man purse with my laptop, a few other items I need in there, my cell phone, and a couple of chargers. I can do just about anything anywhere.
That's great.
I can even access my heavy equipment via the internet and see if it's running or not, see where it's sitting. It's accurate within 3 meters. I mean, it really has, it's really awesome to see how technology is being integrated into everyday life and everyday work stuff.
Yeah. Corey, before you started your company, what made you to even start WML? Because from the sounds of it, most of your background and history was sort of in the landscaping realm, right?
We did more than landscaping. You know, people around here think landscaping, they think the guys that are coming out to trim your bushes and mow your lawn. And yes, I did plenty of that, but we did construction. Like I said, I was around for the pool construction, the other, basically general contracting.
Okay.
Because there are a dime a dozen contractors around, I decided to get weird with it. I did some market research on demolition and site work and went that direction. I prefer weird projects, technically thinking projects, stuff that other people are like, nah, we don't want to do that. Bread and butter, we've got a house coming down this week, a silo coming down next week, and a house coming down the week after. That's all easy peasy, no thinking stuff. Before COVID, we had to take down a real tall ham radio tower that had broken in the wind and fallen over a living tree. So that's one of the fun ones where get a climbing crew in, we start rigging, if we need a crane, and we start trying to solve the problem. And so that's what I really like about the industry that I chose, is that, I wanted to be a problem solver. And let's be honest, 1 second of Googling for this region will show you that a landscaping company, there's 100,000 of them. There's guys, people at the top, people at the bottom. There's not enough market share to make the margins that I want to make. I don't work for 5%. It doesn't make sense. I work to make money so that I can live the lifestyle I want, take care of my family. So it's another reason I went into the demolition site preparation area. And on top, there's a specific next for SAM that we're in. So I really like the history behind these decommissioning projects that the federal government puts out. For example, I lose a year with Corona all the time. The fall of 19 into the spring of 20, we did old homestead removals from the Appalachian Trail all throughout Virginia for the National Park Service. So we had to engineer ways to get to the site, engineer ways to get material out, and then basically leave the area like Mother Nature had it before the house was built in 1895 or 1915. So we had width restrictions, weight very, very cool project to be a part of. And one of the biggest challenges was having the least amount of environmental impact. And it's actually on our YouTube channel. There's a cool video about us, how we handled that particular spot there. But really, really like doing stuff like that. The technically challenging, different projects.
Sure. Corey, when was WML Enterprises established?
To do something you like to do in your spare time and make money at it, right? So I started it as a side hustle when I was working for other companies, and then it kind of grew. And then in 2018, I kind of blew it up into its own thing. And we've been rocking ever since, and growing and failing like crazy and growing from again, and then trying to grow from it, so it's a constant state of circle. One of the greatest things I ever heard was starting a business from the ground up. And I don't mean any disrespect to people that have inherited companies or gone to work for their parents and then moved into a managerial role. Nothing wrong with that. Truly starting a business from the ground up is like jumping off a cliff and assembling the airplane on the way down. So you either your airplane and fly, or you smash into the ground and try again.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I've heard it before too. I like too, Corey, how you started this, as you said, as a side hustle before you sort of blew it up and went full time in 2018.
My motorcycle shop was a side hustle while I was still in active duty military.
Okay, so almost everything you started off as a side hustle, and then depending on how that went, you decided to either no or continue full time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to encourage people, my friends. I mean, for example, I just left my website person. She's been awesome, but my buddy he's been in IT for years, and we finally convinced him to start his own website development hosting company. It's a side hustle. He makes great money with his current company. Now he's got some spending money on the side. And if it gets to the point where that surpasses the income of his current employer, then great, you're set up, you're ready to rock. If it doesn't, who cares? You're still right there. Yeah. It's so crucial, and it's not everybody will do it. A lot of people are afraid to take the plunge, and that's okay. We don't. If 350 million Americans wanted to start this, we'd have a problem. So there's different kinds of people that I think are slated for business ownership, and there's some folks that are completely. She's a senior forensic chemist for the. She's very happy where she is, what she does, and she loves the stability that a government job provides, where that allows me to run around like a crazy person. And she's the ground and I'm the sky. So my dreams and goals and crazy thoughts are up here, and she's the rope that's holding the balloon as I fly by. But I think that's very important to have a side hustle. Like, if you have an idea, try it out. What's the worst that can happen? You fail, whoopee, you learn, you do it again.
I agree, and not all, but a good portion of these side hustles can be established with just very minimal. You don't need a huge capital base to get started on the side. And I think more than anything, yes, like you said, there is an associated risk to it, but I think what does that individual want to do in their free time after 5 or 6, or did they get off of work, or if they have children, the children go down, do they want to sit down and watch ESPN or Netflix, binge whatever show is on or movie, or do they want to do web development or do work on a motorcycle or whatever it may be?
I'm so happy you brought up ESPN specifically. I used to watch religiously in my 20s. Really started in high school, and then it moved into my 20s. I could name you most of the starting roster for a lot of the teams. I could name you stupid stats from nowhere. When I got out of the military, I got into my 30s. Sports stopped mattering. I went, why am I spending all this wavelength energy on stuff that doesn't make me money, it's not enriching me. It's not growing me as a person. It's not going to positively impact my life or my family. What the hell am I doing, man? And it was a giant smack in the face when I realized I was wasting time placating myself watching TV when I could be trying ideas to grow something bigger than me. And I'm not just talking about make myself money. I was a volunteer firefighter in Loudoun County since 2005. And I recently left in 2019. So give back to the community. It doesn't have to be a money-making thing, but stop staring at the TV every night of the week, going out and getting drunk Friday and Saturday nights, and then watching football on Sundays and going back to work on Monday. If that cycle is what you like, fine, man, do it. But there are so many people out there that get trapped in that cycle. And there's so much more the world has to offer. You start a side hustle to make money, start a side hustle to give money to a charity, start your own charity. Hell, go pick up trash on the side of the road, do something. And when you start putting those building blocks in place as a human being, your philanthropy and building yourself better, and maybe taking some classes, some certifications, trying to grow yourself as a person. When you really start putting those foundation blocks in place, it's amazing to see how your life can change. Your friend circle changes, everything starts to change. You don't have to be a gazillionaire to make yourself a better person, to a more wealthy person in life. And that's something huge for me too, is we still volunteer. I spend a lot of time with veterans, and I don't have the time to devote to the volunteer fire department anymore, obviously, because I've, younger kids and a business to run. But I do volunteer as much as I can still to this day, because I think it's an important piece of the cornerstone of wealth, of growth.
I love that. Corey, what does WML stand for?
That's my grandfather's initials.
Okay. William?
Yeah. So the William name is 6 generations deep right now through my dad's side. And my mom's grandfather was named William as well. So we're proud Scotch-Irish, heritage there. And we can trace our roots back to Appalachia, and still had some family there about 10 years ago now. But, looking at names, and could have named it something cute, but I went generic. Because if you look around, a lot of the big players are, the Hit Corporation, that was their last name. But one thing I didn't want to do was put my actual name attached to something for numerous reasons. One, you never want to be the person, right? So if it was Lockhart Enterprises, like my grandfather's company, well, you're Mr. Lockhart, you must be in charge. Or let's say I want to sell the company. You should always be growing your business, sell it. You should never be growing your business just to have it. So if I sell it, so I went with his initial, but at the same time, so I can be generic, so that when for example, my federal division versus my local division, and we've got roll-off containers and things like that I could it's all strategic planning, basically.
Yeah, I like that.
You should always be thinking 4 or 5 steps into the future.
I agree 100%. What was it in 2018, Corey, that made you, I know you were growing it on the side prior to that, but what happened in 2018 that made you say, okay, this is it. This is the time. It's time to blow it up. I'm done with the W-2.
Disagreements with the owners that I worked for in the past.
Okay. That was the catapult there that said, okay, this is it. And once that happened, I'm sure things changed that. Now you're doing this full time compared to on a part-time basis, evenings or weekends. Immediately, what changed?
Well, my days got a lot lighter. Not much to do when you're not out selling. So I hit the streets. Nothing is easy. Nothing is fast. If you don't put the work in, now I get leads word of mouth that I don't even know I don't know the person that recommended me. So it's a very, very neat thing to see that and don't get me wrong, the second biggest catalyst for starting my own company was so that I can do what I want when I want. So we take vacations. If my daughter has an assembly at school, I go. My wife needs to go, say she needs a ride to the doctor, I can take her. I didn't want to be chained to a business. And so, yeah, there's days I'm like, I just don't feel like doing that today, so I'm not going to. So there's benefits there as well, obviously, with owning a company. And then there's days where I'm like, all right, hey, down. How long it takes today? I have this huge list of stuff I got to get through. So there's definite, let's see, what do we call them? Not fringe benefits, but essentially fringe benefits of business ownership that work for me as a person. They fulfill my tank. So I don't want people to think that I'm grinding it out 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. That's just not the case. That would be pointless.
I like how you enjoy it as well. It's not just work.
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, Corey, that a lot of your success is due to relationship you've established. And starting off full time in 2018, you were just mentioning now you were knocking on doors and establishing those relationships, which sometimes they may take some time to develop and for something to come from that. And most of the times they may not come. So
you are right about that.
Is there, for example, in your business, a certain lag time, or how were you dealing with going from a full-time job prior to 2018 to now that's gone out the window and it's just you and the company now?
It's been a very difficult transition. Nothing about it's been easy. It's been stressful. There's weeks where my eyes will snap open at 5 o'clock on the dot, and they didn't close until 12 or 1 because I was sitting there going through my head everything I needed to do. So there's definitely some downsides to that as well. When everything's always on your mind, even when you're like, all right, I'm going to turn it off because I'm on vacation or it's Saturday and I'm with the kids, whatever. It's difficult to turn that off. So since 2018, it's been a difficult transition. I'm learning more and more all the time. But being, ADHD and very efficient, when I have learned that I can get a lot done in a short amount of time. So as long as I get my work done and I compress it, the rest of that time is my time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the formula that I've been working on over the past 3 years.
That's good. You were just saying sometimes now you get leads and calls, you don't even know where they come from. Nowadays, how does that look like? Are you still door knocking, or do you have a marketing or sales team out there, or is it mostly just everything inbound, or is there anything outbound?
It's me. I handle all the sales and marketing. So we sponsored number 20 Spencer Boyd for the NASCAR Truck Series at Richmond this year. So that was really cool to see my company logo run NASCAR through specific advertising on social media and on Google Ads. And then the rest of it is networking groups. And I still do cold call emails. Hey, how are you? This is what we do. This is who we are. We're in the area. We love to have a relationship with you. Any other those is 5 or 10%, maybe. God, what's this? Just you have to have 7 touches before most adults will turn around and be like, all right, man, what do you want? So that's kind of, I've been trying to work some of that in.
And the people you're reaching out to, mostly what, GCs, general contractors?
Yeah. And we advertise to homeowners as well. But I don't do email blasts to homeowners. I just ask them for a referral in the future, and that's worked out well too.
Sure. So the majority of your business is B2B then?
For sure. Yeah. the majority is B2B, and that's usually better. One thing I learned in my actual landscaping is that human beings, especially in this area, can be very difficult to work with. So something that this area has forced me to learn is managing client expectations. So thankfully, I have a whole process now. One thing unique for us is that typically I charge to come see your site. I'm not wasting the time and the gas money to get in my vehicle to drive to your address for you to kick tires or get 7 or 8 other estimates or want me to explain to you how I would do the project. Nope. I've spent 20 years honing my skills so that I'm able to offer a high quality product. And so that is something that's been difficult, especially in this area. But, you know, you should always be searching and shopping on not every client is a client worth having. When the business account is 0 and you just want to get some work done, yeah, you end up doing anything anybody will ask. And it takes a little bit of time to realize that it's better to be broke and sit and try to develop a qualified lead than it is to run around and take a loss or break even. In most aspects of business, that holds true.
Did you learn that the hard way, Corey, as far as running around to estimates?
Oh my God, yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, I had quite the experience with constant appointments. I mean, spending $50 a day in gas, all my time, then putting together the estimate, emailing it, and you get the no response or you get the thanks, we'll review it. I mean, there's so much science behind sales that I encourage all these other people out here, these contractors, stop advertising free estimates, stop being at the client's beck and call. You're not a servant, you're not a subclass of human. It's just like if I need my computer repaired, or when I go to the doctor, or when I go to the bank, I'm talking to a professional and what they do, and they don't know how to do my job, and I don't know how to do their job. So why don't we work together, right? And that's where managing client expectations comes in big. And so we have a big intro email when people reach out, or fill out a contact card on our website at WMLenterprises.com. If they fill out a web form or they call in, we have a process that we go through with folks. It's called qualifying your client. And it allows me to eliminate tire kickers and non-serious buyers. Or a lot of times people get bored, and I saw this a lot in COVID. They're at home, they don't like something, they want to see how much it's going to cost. So they call a dozen contractors, they waste a dozen contractors' time just to realize, oh my, I thought it would be, and then the project never gets done. So we are really trying to flip the industry on its head with the way that we interact with clientele and potential customers, because everybody has a friend, a family member, or themselves that has hired a subpar contractor, whatever the case. Everybody's been through a bad situation like that. And you can really avoid those issues if you are very communicative up front.
Besides the qualifying questionnaire and that process, you said there's also a fee in order for you to go on site and estimate the job, right?
Yeah, so what I do is the office will give them an email response. It basically says, hey, thank you for contacting us. Give us some very specific details about your project, the address, and as many photographs as you can upload. We will then review the project and give you a ballpark price. So we will give you a free estimate via email. Should you want me to put together a detailed estimate and visit the site, then I will bill that to you, and for my time to come out and put it together for you. Should you decide to go with us for the project, that money is credited to your invoice. So what it does is it keeps me from losing money and wasting time. And it also, the client puts a little skin in the game, and then can take that estimate. It's theirs. They bought it. But if they're like, hey, you know what? We want to do it. Fantastic. Now that is credited right back to your invoice.
I'm sure it also weeds out, like you mentioned, a lot of tire kickers out there who are just collecting estimates from all sorts of contractors.
I have seen some of the craziest stuff. Yeah, we could fill a week's worth of podcasts on funny client calls and requests. I have weekly, we play weekly golf league with a bunch of friends of mine that are all business owners. And we spend a large portion of it talking about really crazy customer. I could write a book with some of the crazy stuff that we've all seen.
Are they also in the construction industry?
Nope, all industries.
Okay.
Engineering, landscaping, computers, medical fields. Yeah, just kind of all across the board. It's a nice hodgepodge.
Sure. And I'm sure not all of them have that process, that initial process that you have.
Some industries don't support it, honestly.
Yeah. It's interesting. I saw it, it's been a while, but I saw it recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was at a meeting at a retail center, a commercial property, and I was with a tenant, and they were bringing a GC over to give them an estimate, a bid on a build out. I forgot where they were coming from, and they come out, and part of it, after we're done with the walkthrough and everything, I see the tenant go to their car and get a checkbook, and she was going to write a check to this general contractor for their estimate. And I had not seen that in a very long time. I was a little bit surprised and taken back. I was like, wow, she has to, I don't know what the fee was, but she had to pay to get the estimate and the bid, and they were going to work on it and give to her in a couple days or whatever the time frame was.
Well, I'm glad you saw that. It makes me happy. But the big thing people have to realize is there's a weird sense of entitlement amongst consumers. And a lot of consumers go, well, if you want to earn my business, you'll be at my beck and call. I have to pump the brakes right there. And that is a mentality correction. That is a culture correction that needs to occur. Contractors are not beneath you. They are not at your beck and call. And I'm telling you, I have seriously seen some really bad time wasters.
Yeah.
And I've had to mentor some folks to stop going. No, you don't need a fourth meeting on site to talk about a tree that needs to come down or a bathroom that needs to get redone. You know, it's in our industry as well. It's on us as well to help harborize as all the boats rise together. And when people are out here still thinking that, oh, yeah, I own a house in Ashburn, it should be $25 to cut my lawn. That's just not anywhere near reality in 2021. I mean, I was charging $20 to mow lawns when I was 10. That was the early 90s. So it's been very, very interesting to, I'll tell you what, it's fun, man. At the end of the day, life's a game, play it and try to be a good person along the way. And that's once I got into that mindset, I was a lot happier as a human being.
Corey, what would you say drives and motivates you today?
Copious amounts of money. Why not? Money's a tool. It's Warren Buffett reads 40 books a year or more, and I try to do the same. And I'm a voracious reader, and I know that money to be used as a tool to do what you want. It's a nice car, nice house. That's fine. My wife and I love to travel a time, and I want to be able to keep funding that. I want to keep funding my book habit. We like to eat good food, and the second motivator, I suppose, like we talked about earlier, the schedule. That keeps me going. I don't want to have to go back to work for somebody else. I don't want to have to be at somebody else's call. And then the third motivator is the challenge of it. It's fun, especially when you keep getting punched in the face. You're like, all right, eventually I'm gonna get up, start swinging back. And those little victories, man, I could be on a downhill slide for 3 weeks and be like, what am I doing? And you can ask every single entrepreneur out there. I guarantee you this has 100% been said mentally or out loud. What am I doing this for? I don't, what am I doing? I should just close down and go work for somebody else. Sometimes that's daily for me. But perseverance is one of the most important things as an entrepreneur. If you don't have it, you'll never make it. One foot in front of the other, keep pressing. Same thing we said in the military when we were ruck marching in full chem gear, doing exercises, or, one foot in front of the other, keep on going, suck it up and press. And that drive for me to keep trying to accomplish these goals and tackle these challenges, that helps drive me.
I was saying how important having the right team, surrounding yourself with the right team, whether it's your own team in-house there at WML or even other colleagues or friends that may have their own business. How do you go about either hiring or finding the right people?
That is the difference between a successful business and a non-successful business. What did Musk say when somebody challenged him? Well, you didn't go to Harvard. He goes, no, I employ people that did. So one of the reasons that he had a great autobiography, by the way. One of the reasons I am here, I've got, my dad's retired, mom's retired. I can pick their brains. I surround myself, my weekly social club, if you will, my golf and social club. I surround myself with people from other industries and other businesses. We are always supporting each other. On my team, if I don't have the work for you or I don't need a full-time employee, this is the beautiful thing about this time of living. I sub it out. I mean, one of my greatest strengths is my CPA. He is a certified tax instructor for the IRS. I run everything by him. We have quarterly meetings. He tells me what to do. I listen, and then I succeed.
I love that.
Surrounding yourself with the right people is what gets you where you want to be. You cannot do it all on your own, and it's egotistical and arrogant to think you can.
What advice would you give anyone starting any business? Would it be that as far as surrounding the right people, or is there something else you can think of?
Business plans are overrated, but I'm on my phone. I use an app on my phone it's called MindWeb. I think you can get your own bubble. Take your idea, circle it, start drawing lines off of it. Think, sleep, talk to others. Keep adding to it. Every little tiny thing you think about, or any detail you think about, add it to what this would be considered a modern business plan. And once you start there, you're in a good spot. Once you have your ideas kind of roughly down, just make the jump.
That's great advice. What habits or skills you feel that has helped and influenced you where you are today, whether personally or in business?
Stubbornness, perseverance, compassion, and leadership. Knowing how to lead people is super important.
How did you learn how to do that?
I don't know. I was kind of a little bit of a leader in high school, went into the fire department, had some great leaders in the fire department, and then went in the military and learned a lot there, both good and bad. sometimes it's better to meet somebody you never want to be like. Sometimes that is better than meeting people you want to be like. So I did that quite a few times in the military.
It just reminds me, I was having a conversation with my 5-year-old this week about this, telling him, I was like, look, you're going to come across people, you're going to hear people, interact with people that you're going to see good and bad things, but you're going to know what's good and what's bad. So just observe, don't do the bad things, and the good things maybe you can do. Don't just start repeating everything, whether good or bad. You know what it is, you know what's good and what's bad.
Absolutely. Well, I always say, I tell my kids, you can learn something from everybody. Every single person you meet, you can learn something from them, whether it's good or bad, whether it's, hey, I like that, or no, that I don't like that at all. Why stop learning? There is a big delta right now with a lack of communication and a lack of interpersonality between folks. And I honestly feel like there's a lot of selfish folks that are just stuck thinking about themselves.
You had a very rich career, Corey. Is there anything you wish you would have known back then that you know now?
Yeah, I should have known a little bit more about leverage and definitely when it comes to contracts and contract negotiation. I mean, there's entire college degrees based on that, and it's very easy for a tradesperson to get in a lot of trouble via taxes or contracts, and it's not fair. It's really not fair for people that have a skill set and want to provide that skill set to others in exchange for money. There is a massive amount of hoops to jump through, and every government from the local to the feds has their hand out wanting money from everybody for everything, and it's a really hard time to start up a business.
That's
so
true.
I wish I'd have known more about that. And back to your other question, my attorney. Well, so between my accountant, my bookkeeper, and my attorney, that has helped a lot.
Do you have a mentor or mentors? And if so, what did you learn from them?
I try to take away good stuff from a lot of people. So I don't really have a specific mentor. I certainly don't have a business coach or anything like that. But obviously my dad, growing up and then working there, and I learned a lot. But now I've leaned on my older, more experienced friends. I have absolutely leaned on my guys that have been in business 20 years. So they mentor me all the time. It's not a formal thing, it's a constant thing. One of my business partner in our other business, he's a structural engineer. We work together all the time. He's in his early 50s. We're drinking buddies, and we're golfing buddies, and we're business buddies, and I'm always bouncing stuff off of him, always asking questions. So I also try to pay that forward. I've had some young guns coming in. Hey, I'm 18, I'm 21, I started a business. What do I need? Well, let's start you at the basics, and we'll start you there. But
I like that. Corey, coming to an end here soon, what does the future look like for you and the company? I don't know if you have a 5-year goal. What's the vision?
Well, it's always good to have goals. I like I want to be, let's just say I need to be at 8 figures under 5 years from now. And by the time I hit 10, I need to be at a certain, it's not like, oh, that's the end all be all. More money, more problems. Like everybody knows that song was legit. That lyric is correct. More money, more problems is 100% correct. it's just more headache. The bigger the company, the more employees, the bigger the revenue, the more taxes, the more everything. But from what I've been told by some influential business folks, the hard work, the work doesn't necessarily get harder as you scale. It may get more voluminous, but it doesn't get harder.
When you're not busy working and spending time with the family, what do you like to do for fun?
Motorcycles, classic cars, tattoos, hang out with my buddies, play some golf, and then we do a lot of boating.
Fishing or just boating?
Just boating.
Okay, great. Corey, if people want to find out more about you and WML Enterprises, where can they reach out and find out more information?
Our most active is our Instagram page, and that's me directly on it. It's at WML Enterprises, and that covers all of our socials. Let's go to our website. It's WMLenterprises.com and find out anything else.
That's great. Corey, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having me. This has been fun.
Same. Take care.
Thank you. You too.